So popcorn can't be beat. Chocolate bars can't be beat. Popcorn can't be beat. Chocolate bars can't be beat. Popcorn can't be beat.
That's a banger.
That, I don't know why we didn't keep that as our original theme song. That's what it was originally, y'all. Pretty bad.
I remember when I first heard that, and I was like, ooh, maybe this podcast isn't going to be a thing.
Yep, and then it was back to the drawing board. That was incredible. Hey guys, if this is your first episode, kind of weird, but all right.
Kind of.
It's.
But also, thanks for finally checking us out.
Yeah, you know, you've been sleeping on us for too long.
I have absolute nightmares of people's first episode being the one where I'm just eating pretzels.
Oh my god, that was a classic one. This is a movie podcast about movies. That was a redundant sentence, and I hate myself for saying it. I am Ethan. I'm one of the hosts of the show.
I'm David. I'm one of the other hosts.
And I'm Brillium, the third host.
Did you say Rick Bob William the third?
I'm Rick Bob William the third.
He's our silent but very, very wealthy sponsor.
They finally let me use a microphone this episode. I've been sitting in on them the last couple of times and trying to tell them how they should do the show, but they don't listen to me.
This character just became like 80. Like, the first voice was not old, the second voice was so old.
These fucking punkster kids never listen to what I have to say. If I'm not Jimbo Billiam, I don't remember what the name was. I'm so old.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's a fucking great show. This is such a good show. I'm so happy people listen to us.
This is our 2-year anniversary. What a road. What a fucking journey.
I know what you're thinking, dear listener.
What I'm thinking about
where was
is that
the episode? Where was the 1-year anniversary episode? Well,
that was our hiatus time.
Yep.
So like we've been going. You can't see my air quotes for 2 years, but like we've been going basically for 2019 and a month. Like 2019, when people are like, "Oh, the podcast is still going on," I'm like, "Yeah," but like 2019, like we're fucking doing it, yo.
We're actually doing it, yo.
We're like kicking. But we changed our expectations. Instead of like a weekly episode, we're like monthly. Yo, we're monthly, and then maybe we'll scatter a few in there for fun.
Yeah.
And we do that actually.
Do
pretty.
You say
we
do so much, and I love it.
Do say do because you know sometimes you gotta lay out the doo.
Here's the Here's the thing, though. We're still not good at making podcasts because we have not done the actual introduction, like, theme song yet. I mean, so we should probably do that eventually, right?
What? No. We already did the intro.
No, that was the original theme song that would never actually made it to air, that we brought out as like a special treat, like an extra thing. So we still have to do the normal one. But I don't know. Like, I feel like we're too aware of it.
Feed me the fucking intro. Feed me the intro.
Here you go, piping hot. Eat it up.
Recorded from deep within the great lakes of the internet live. 2 men buried under bad movies and popcorn try their best to survive. But how long could that possibly last? Find out as you join Ethan and David in this episode of Feature Cast.
That was so not what I was expecting.
I don't know what to do. It catches me off guard every time because I know it's got like a rising build, so you have to get a little bit louder to still be heard. So I don't know.
So let's just we're gonna kick the door down because this could be a long episode.
Yes.
We are doubling our first impression and backlog count for this week.
Wow.
Month for this episode.
Not an exact double, but it's all right.
Well, we went from 3 to 5 and we went from 1 to 2, so that's an exact double.
Well, 3 to 5. I don't know if that one's the double.
No, I can do math. We're almost at the exact double. So, do you want me to kick it off? You want to kick it off? What do you want to do here, big boy?
So, first impressions, that's where we talk about movies that we've only seen the one time, and it's our first time watching it. A lot of times, it's new movies. Sometimes it's older movies. We have a whole separate category within first impressions called the Backlog, where we do like older movies that we missed, some that might be contemporary and more modern, other ones might be classics, just ones that we want to get around to watching. And sometimes, you know, like if we're watching a certain group of movies for an episode, so like our Valentine's Day episode, for example, we'll talk about romantic comedies and things of that ilk. But sometimes there are ones that don't really fit into those, but we still want to watch, so those kind of go on the backlog. Was that a good enough introduction?
The way I look at the backlog, that's really good. But I look at the backlog, I feel like maybe a little differently than you, which is actually okay. I like having different interpretations. I think the backlog is like those movies that have always been on your radar, that you always wanted to watch, but for some reason you didn't get to it, because like obviously you can't see every movie. Like we see a lot of fucking movies,
and there's so many we don't miss.
And like so, like there are movies that we're always playing catch up with the movies that were out before we were even born. So like Citizen Kane is still embarrassingly on my backlog.
You weren't born yet when that came out?
I wasn't, but like,
I was born when that came out. It's me.
But like I was also born when
big man.
Stop with those voices. But like also Coco is a movie I still haven't seen. For some reason I just missed it when it came out. I fucking own it. I just haven't had the time to put it in and watch it. So that's how I look at the backlog. So, do you want to kick it off, or do you want me to kick it off?
I'll kick it off with some first impressions.
Kick it off! Kick it off!
The most recent film I saw was Godzilla, King of Monsters.
Ooh, boy! This movie, I'm seeing literally tomorrow. And I am so excited to see some fucking kaiju on kaiju action.
Now, there is definitely a lot of kaiju on kaiju action. There's more kaiju than you might have expected in this movie.
Ooh, fuck yeah.
Which is fun. Now, here is the thing. I think the movie's good. I don't think it's great. I had a fun time with it. It was a blast and a half, but I don't know if I'd really rewatch it as much. The soundtrack was the same guy that did the God of War soundtrack, which is fantastic. And this one, to me, it was the way they did the sound mixing, I think, took away from the soundtrack. Because you kind of, like, when Godzilla roars, you can't really hear anything.
Right.
This one, it tried to take the two tones from the previous film. So it took from the 2014 Godzilla, kind of that serious and intense, like this is an epic battle that's been going on for ages and humans are just there for it, while also trying to keep the fun, more like beat 'em up kind of style of Kong Skull Island. And it tries to match them, and I think parts of that take away from both of those tones at points. So it's definitely, there's some things that are pretty convoluted in the movie. It still does the same thing that the previous movies have done, where they have good actors that just kind of are there and don't do much. But it's still fun.
So,
like, of course, the all of the kaiju take center stage, as they should. And that's really enjoyable. They do a great job with that. Mothra is fantastic. Godzilla is obviously still fantastic. And then all the other kaiju it brings out are also incredible.
So out of curiosity, this movie has like a surprisingly like almost loaded cast of those smaller actors that I just really like. So we got like Kyle Chandler, Vera Farmiga, Millie Bobby Brown, Charles Dance, O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Charles Dance is fantastic.
Okay, of course he is. God.
Kyle Chandler sucks kind of bad.
What?
He's just, it's literally anyone else could be in that role. He doesn't really do much.
How's Millie? How's 11?
Kind of wasted. Like, she's important to it, but like, she doesn't really go through the whole scope of acting that we know that she can. And
no.
I don't know. I think that she does fine in this, but it's one that it doesn't utilize people's skills the best.
Did you saw Kong Skull Island, right?
Yes.
So that movie obviously didn't really have the greatest like character stories. Like those characters, the human characters, they were kind of just like cannon fodder.
Yeah.
And like a few of them, we had like familiar faces that we liked, but like really, we didn't know much about the characters. We didn't care much about the characters. Basically, they're just on the island, and then just like craziness ensues. Is it worse than that? Is it better? What is it? Because the main thing I'm hearing about this movie is like kaiju action, awesome, characters really bad, and it's getting this,
the characters are pretty garbage in this. It's one where it's like I don't know. They're interesting enough to hold your attention between kaiju fights, and they barely do it.
So basically, there's multiple moments to take a bathroom break.
Yeah.
Is this like the definition of a movie to watch on your phone? Like, if there's talking, you can be on your phone, and if there's not, you can watch it.
Okay. I thought you meant, like, watch Godzilla on your phone.
No. Like, be on your phone while watching this movie in theaters.
I mean, you shouldn't, because there are other people there, and it's rude, David.
No, you buy out the entire theater. You're doing a good thing for the theater, because you're buying all the tickets for the entire thing. Lots of money. But then you're, just on your phone browsing through, whatever you browse through.
David, give me one of your first impressions.
So, my first impression is the super recently released, documentary on HBO, Game of Thrones: The Last Watch. So this is the documentary following the production of the final season of Game of Thrones. So, obviously, the final season of Game of Thrones kind of sucked. I've been off the Game of Thrones, fan train for, like,
But
a few
when
years.
you were on it, David, you were choo all aboard. You had your own blog.
It was more of a news website, entertainment website. But yeah, no, I own 4 copies of the book series. I love the books. I'm starting the books over again just because I love lighting that fuse for that love again. It's one of the funnest worlds to just fall in love with because there's so much going on in it. Mm-hmm. And this documentary is actually, it's really fun, and it's showing you a side of, I don't know if it was last episode or 2 episodes ago where I said I would love to see a documentary of like the making of Lord of the Rings, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Seeing this, because Game of Thrones is on a scale all of its own when it comes to TV shows. There's nothing that even, puts up a fight for the type of production that Game of Thrones has. What?
Or Fraggle Rock,
And so seeing all the work that goes into this, but if it's makeup on the White Walkers, if it's just the fucking snow on the ground, seeing all that, God, I hate you. Seeing all that just come to life and the people behind that, it's really cool. Also, one of the coolest things is seeing the table reads with all the actors between season 1 and now, and just seeing that contrast. Because when the show came out, like, nobody knew what it was going to be. Like, whenever any pilot gets launched for a show, nobody knows how well it's going to land. And, they were lucky enough to make the biggest show of all time. And seeing that, and then also with the recent news of Kit Harington, putting himself into rehab because of, I'm assuming, probably a little bit of this, like, sadness of the show being over and what that means for the future of his career and losing that part of his life, because a lot of these actors, when they signed on, they were nobodies. They hadn't acted before. Mm-hmm. And it's really...
Well, and like, if you ever saw Pompeii with Kit Harington, this is it.
You don't know. This is really it. But, like, I think it's going to be really hard for Is he?
He just checked into rehab. I don't want to like slam dunk on like a movie he made like 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, but like I think a lot of these actors are gonna, it's gonna be interesting to see where they land. Like it's hard for actors after a TV show is so like entwined into the cultural context of everything to get out of that character and be somebody else. Like
Joey from Friends.
Yeah, like Jesse from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, he's been trying so hard, and he's a really good actor. It's just hard to get out. It's really hard. Charles Dance obviously did it with Godzilla.
Absolutely.
Charles Dance is such a badass, though. And yeah, it's a fun doc to watch. There are obviously some points where a little slow, but this is such a heartstring of mine. Is that even how you say that phrase? That it just no, it's not. This
not
is
even
pulling
close.
on my heartstring. I don't know how to say it. I never said that before. We're all trying new things, but it's fun. It's fun to finally see that behind the scene look that isn't just a Blu-ray extra or a YouTube featurette. Plus, it's also, man, it's crazy how like how many fucking like extras they have to have and the costuming for that, and just like how early hair and makeup has to start for some of these people. It's crazy. It's also a lot of like Avengers has been doing this where they've been releasing like fake trailers. I heard that fucking noise again, and I don't know what it is. It literally sounds like the tray of a printer falling down. It's haunting me. But because during the production of the final season, they brought on like old characters throughout the season to like film different like scenes and stuff, so nobody knew what would actually happen. Kind of cool.
Yeah. So, David, I've also watched a documentary recently about the making of a kind of high fantasy epic that kind of swept the world, based on a pre-existing franchise that people had questions about going into this new installment of. Would you say that's kind of a fair assessment of what yours was?
Yeah.
Mine was about the video game series God of War. Have you played God of War?
I have not, but it's always been one of those titles that caught my eye and looked like fun, but I feel like the first few games were just kind of button mashers that I just didn't want to do.
And that's totally fair. Have you heard about the new God of War?
The new one's supposed to be fucking, like, next level amazing.
It is, hands down, one of the greatest video games I've ever played.
Ooh, that's quite the accolade.
Absolutely. It is phenomenal. And I was worried going into a documentary about the making it that it would maybe take away from the game a little bit. The documentary I'm referring to is called Raising Kratos, which you can watch for free on YouTube or on PlayStation or wherever you want.
Interesting.
It is really good, though. This game took years and years and years to make, and there are some super emotional moments in it where they didn't know like how people would react to the game. So like all of their first kind of things and some of the challenges they have, as well as like what they were doing with the actors, the two lead actors in this. It is really, really well done for a game that I think it's good to play the game first because they do talk about some spoilery things in the movie, as I'm sure the same is with the Game of Thrones documentary.
Totally, yeah.
But it's one that you do have to have this other product first before you should really consume, but it's a fantastic add-on to that project that adds more to it, that I feel like The Last Watch probably did as well. There are, towards the end especially, there are scenes that actually made me cry, which you wouldn't expect really in a documentary about a video game. But that kind of shows you what this story really is.
So, okay, a few questions. Let's unravel this onion together. Have you played all? Like, is God of War a game that you've played all of them? You have like a strong connection with, or just this last one?
Just this last one.
Really?
Yeah, I know of the other ones.
Yeah,
but I haven't played through them.
Fascinating. I have not even heard of this until now. But now this is something I really want to check out just because the game development world is so interesting, I think. And that's what this is.
Well, and it's a nice coupling to Indie Game the movie. But it shows you how like a studio actually would handle it. And it goes through some things that like are kind of unexpected in the studio world. Like they closed down a different studio and all of a sudden they had, like a whole bunch of extra people that they were expected to find jobs for on their team. Which kind of adds a whole new crazy dynamic of like...
That's wild.
If you have the people to work on it, but you don't have that work yet because you're still too early in the game development, and like if you have too many people working on it, like it doesn't feel cohesive and things kind of get lost in the mix for it. It's really good though.
Huh. I'm definitely going to check this out. And you said it's free on PlayStation?
You can watch it on PlayStation. You can also just watch it on YouTube.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to watch that.
It's worth playing the game first, though.
Well, that sounds like 50 hours of time I got.
Maybe more. It's so good, though.
What do you have it for?
PS4.
Do you have it Nice, okay.
It's a PS4 exclusive.
That's right. I know things. I'm a gamer. I game hard, obviously.
You know, in our
Can't
first
you
episode,
tell?
we said we were going to talk about like video games and books and internet trends.
Well, have you read any books?
Like ever?
No, there's. I've talked about a few. I talked about
You just talked about the Game of Thrones books.
I did, but I also talked about comics sometimes. I talk about Fable.
Yeah, Fable's good. Snot Girl's really good.
Why the Last Man? Powers.
Saga is
You know,
really good.
You know, I'm actually Saga's super good. I love Saga.
Yeah.
But I'm also just reading Batman: The White Knight right now.
Yeah?
It's really good.
Nice.
Really.
What?
Really
Okay,
thick.
but what about internet trends? We got to do that one.
What kind of did you hear about the spelling bee?
Oh yeah, well that's news. We didn't
What are
say we were
internet
going to talk
trends?
about spelling bee news in our first episode, David. So shut the fuck up about it right now.
Okay, sorry. What's what? We don't have time for internet trends. In this
Okay, what's
episode.
your next first impression then?
The next one is a movie that I have been wanting to see for close to a year now, and its release has just kind of been this like weird thing with A24 where it's like not getting released or it's getting pushed back or what
Yep,
the fuck's
yep.
going on with it, and that is David Robert Mitchell's Under the Silver Lake, starring Andrew Garfield.
Wow.
Obviously, this is I believe it's his second film it's his second film ever following It Follows, which It Follows is a interesting little horror movie that I
Very,
actually really
very
like.
well regarded.
Yeah, I mean, some people really fucking hate it. That I know personally. I don't know why. Because I think it's a interesting horror movie with a interesting, gimmick, monster, whatever you want to call it. Under the Silver Lake is, first of all, extremely long.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be a little bit under 3 hours. It's like 2.5, I think.
Oof.
And it's so fucking weird. It's like hypersexualized. Hypersexualized. It's almost a neo-noir mystery that they're trying to like uncover with this like really weird like LA vibe, and like there's a dog killer and there's an owl lady who murders people at night, and I don't.
Are you sure you didn't just watch Twin Peaks? It sounds like you watched Twin Peaks.
Nope, that's what this. Nope, Under the Silver Lake. This movie is so strange.
Is it worth watching just to experience it, or would you say it's one you should skip?
There is like 60% of this movie that I really like. There are things that they set up and that gets paid off later on that I'm like, oh fuck, I really like that. But then there's so much just like, fuck this bullshit that you have to slog through that makes it painful to get to the end. And then when you get to the end, honestly, I was like, that's the fucking end? Which, like, I get that this type of movie has that ending that you're, not supposed to really, like, enjoy or be a fan of.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like, I wanted something more for what I just went through. But, like, there are some really cool things in here. It has to do a lot with, like conspiracy theories and, like worldwide media and all that stuff. And it's something. This movie is just, it's something. It's a fucking trip. And it's really weird, and it's weirder than I make it sound. That's how weird it is. There's
it sounds
a band,
fucking weird.
There's fucking cookie cards. There's secret cubby holes. There's maps. There's cereal boxes. There's dead squirrels. There's shit. Just dog shit. Several times.
Well,
Dude, this movie's so weird. I just want somebody to watch this. And then, I was like, what did I just watch? So I started looking stuff up on it, and I was like, okay, that's enough of this.
So, David, I watched a movie that you also recently watched that you talked about on another First Impressions.
Oh?
This is High Life.
Ooh.
Claire Denis film. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to talk about it too much because I want people to go in as blind as possible into it.
Yes.
Not because there's really... I mean, yes, there are things to spoil, but it's one that it is an atmospheric, moody movie that, like, just the more I talk about it, the more it probably doesn't sound that good.
Yeah.
Does that make
I totally
sense?
agree with that. It's one of those movies, it's almost like a Jim Jarmusch film where there's not really a plot, but there's slowly...
Well, and there are things that happen in it.
Yes. But it's an experience. Like, you're with the characters. You're there experiencing it as they experience it.
Yeah. So it's like a... What's the best way to describe it? So the core theme that I felt during the movie, like one of the biggest things, was the haunting brutality of intimacy. Did you like that description? I thought about that a long time. And kind of what isolation, even isolation as a group, can do to people. And of course the way they set this up is by having them be in a ship in space heading towards a black hole. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone.
It is
not. It is absolutely super high for me.
Yeah.
It is not for everyone. This is one that it took me I had to leave the film a couple of times and like process things and then come back to it. Because it is a very heavy movie that deals with a lot of not fun topics. To do with isolation and brutal intimacy. Which I think is the nicest way of putting that.
Yep.
It is harsh but heartfelt, difficult but beautiful. It's really good.
It really is. And the cinematography,
fantastic. And like all the performances as well. It is like it's a tour de force by Robert Pattinson. And even though and he's not doing a lot there, but he has there's this kind of deeply personal effect to him that you can tell there's so much going on underneath the surface that he doesn't have to portray outward.
But you're also 100% right. This is a movie I would not recommend to the majority of people that I know.
I know some people that this would honestly might be one of their favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
And I know some people that wouldn't want to talk to me after I made them watch it.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who just wouldn't even sit through it to watch.
So if it sounds like that's something if that sounds interesting to you, a movie that would be heavy and intense, then you should watch it. If you're I kind of want to know exactly more what it's about before I jump into that, it's not for you.
Another one that I watched that I was, at the beginning of the year pretty excited for. And, after watching it, it was, wasn't that great. And that is Brightburn.
I could have told you that. I was not excited for this one. I thought it was an interesting concept, but when I watched the trailer the first time, I was like, ooh, that actually looks kind of interesting. When I watched the trailer the second time, I was like, there's no way they can keep it this interesting throughout the whole movie. Because it's already not interesting on the second time watching the trailer.
So it's written by the Gunn brothers. Mm-hmm. James Gunn and whatever his brother's name is.
Sean?
No. Is it Sean?
Is there another Gunn?
Yeah, Brian Gunn.
Oh. Well.
And it's basically, it is Superman's story told if he was
evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is kind of a cool concept, but
it's a super cool concept.
It would be a cool graphic novel, maybe not a cool movie.
Well, we have Red Sun.
That's true.
Which, but that's a little different because this is about the adolescent time where he's a teenager going through this. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I have to credit this movie for is in the age of superhero movies that this one went for an R rating with a lead with the child lead, which is unheard of, I feel like. Like, when does this happen? We never get R-rated movies with a child lead.
Good Boys.
And then, what?
Good Boys.
Oh, that's true. But that's a comedy.
8th grade.
8th grade was R?
Yeah.
Superhero movie, though. Main point.
Hancock.
Is,
Will Smith is a baby.
That's PG. Maybe PG-13.
Oh, fuck, you're right. Is it? Oh, it's not.
No way it's R.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's R.
No way is Hancock R. No way. No fucking way.
What is Hancock
R.
rated?
PG-13.
Hancock
Eat my
is rated
ass.
PG-13.
Alright, you're right.
Fucking put in a heart on the fucking moon. No way that's R. Brightburn has some, like, brutal kills from a child. Like, there was some stuff in this movie that is... This movie is labeling itself as a horror movie, which is very interesting. Because, I don't know if it is. But, like, there was some stuff in here that's, like, straight out of a horror movie. Like, specifically with some eye stuff. A lot of people don't like the eyes getting fucked with in movies, you know?
Yeah,
it's a sensitive area. But like there was an eye thing that happens here, and then what changes into a camera trick where they shade one side of the screen to give you her perspective.
Oh, weird.
That's like really cool. It's weird. I don't really know if it works that well, but I was like, you know.
I'm glad you tried something.
Yeah. My main issue with this is like you're right. Like I'm not really that invested into the characters. I don't really care about anyone ever.
It would be better for like one of our fix and pitches than
yeah, but like
than
also
an actual full
this
movie.
So this movie ends with camera or with like news footage of like what follows the end of this movie, and that is the stuff that interested me the most. And I'm like, that's probably not a good thing because I don't think they're going for a sequel here.
So that's a similar complaint that both you and I had about Fanforstic, where like the stuff that was on the side as news footage was more interesting than the actual movie.
Yeah.
Would you put it anywhere near that bad?
No,
Okay.
Not even close. Like there was still I would say if the concept of this movie sounds interesting to you, go watch it. I think you'll get exactly what you want out of it.
But not anything more.
Not anything more. Not even like 1% more.
Damn.
Than what you think it's going to be. Yeah, I kind of disappointed. There's some weird just because of the age of some of these characters, there's some very weird stuff that like I'm not used to seeing like relationship wise between like children on screen, which is
That does not sound fun.
No, I mean it's very, very strange. And it's like it's almost playing on that cliche of like in the movies where like the boy like sneaks, like climbs the tree and like knocks on the girl's window, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know the cliche? Like Scream has it. Even.
Yeah.
But and that just has a really weird twist in this movie. What's your next one?
So I mentioned briefly 8th Grade. Another coming of age movie that's a little more comedy is Booksmart. Booksmart is Olivia Wilde's directorial debut. It is from start to finish fantastic. Not as good as 8th Grade, mind you.
Nope.
But the fact that I'm even listing them in the same sentence is a damn good sign.
Yes.
The soundtrack is fantastic. All the characters are super interesting and like continue to be interesting throughout the movie. And each character is its own different type of person. There's not one character that's the same as another. And they're all kind of fully fleshed out characters. Even ones that are just kind of like side characters, they have a lot of depth to them without ever being like way too much detail to distract you from the core of the film. The strongest part absolutely is the relationship between our two leads. It is
100%.
interesting and engaging, and I was gonna say enchanting, but I don't know if that's right.
No, but there are like revelations with these characters that when they hit, you're just like, oh my god, like what?
Yeah.
And like the way that they're like, just even their like micro acting on their faces and stuff is just like so on point that it feels so natural and so real. One thing I love about this movie, because I also just saw this, is something I just haven't noticed in other comedies or movies of this type. Because I don't even like to say that this is like a 100% comedy, because at the end
it's way more comedy than something like 8th Grade is.
Oh, totally. But it's not just like it's more drama though than Superbad is.
Absolutely, it's like a good middle ground between those two.
Yeah, but
it's also very different.
But what this movie does that I really like is it, with its jokes, you see the jokes like play out in like the depth of the field, like out of frame, or not out of frame, but out of focus.
Yeah,
and it's just so interesting to see that like aspect and dynamic with like the joke, like you seeing part of it take place up front, and then you're seeing also like it like come to fruition in the back. I really like, and then also you just see like there's one scene close to the end that is just like the scene I think of the movie, and the stuff that's
and the character work, especially in this, there are certain characters you meet early on that are like just seen as jokes and that work as just jokes, that they then give like actual depth because they're all humans. Like it's really, really well written and like insanely well structured, shot like gorgeously. Yeah. It was really, really good, and I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. This really swept me off my feet and took me away on a magic ride.
Now, the thing that kills me though is like there are some things that are a little that I do have issues with this movie.
Yes, and I definitely know what you're talking about for it. There are a couple, like, there are, like, 1 or 2 characters that don't work, and are just kind of annoying whenever they're there, and they stay a little bit too long. And there are certain scenes that are like, this is not the best, but overall, it's fantastic.
Yes, 100%.
Let's keep it going, David.
Yeah, sorry.
If you want to jump into your next one.
The next one that I watched is John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum.
Wow.
Now you, my sad friend, have not watched any of the John Wick films.
Nope.
So you're missing out on one of the best action franchises in the U.S. I'll say that. I'll give it that caveat.
There was a lot of asterisks on that one, huh?
But it's so good. And this one, if you like John Wick 1, if you like John Wick 2, this one keeps it going, and I think it actually slightly tweaks the franchise a little bit more, and I think it for the better. I think this is the strongest one yet. Possibly the first one. Possibly the first one was a standalone. But this one introduces new characters who are super interesting. Halle Berry is back on screen. Who knew that would be a good thing? Maybe it's not. It might not be. There are aspects of her character in this movie that I don't like. Like her final scene is almost laughably bad. There's some stuff in the desert. The desert stuff is my least favorite part about this movie. But the action in this, like, if you think, like, it's an action scene, I've seen it before. If you, like, read a script and it just goes action scene. This does not. This reinvents so much. Like, there is stuff with knives in here I've never seen. There are horse scenes in here that are fucking out of this world. And real horses. Not CGI horses. These are real horses on set. That shit was crazy. There's also dog play. That sounded weird.
That was
dog
awful.
Stuff in here.
That was awful. Give
dog
it a
play?
different word, please.
No, I'm leaving it because it sounded so weird. But there's some dog stuff in here that's just like, holy shit, it's so cool. And like obviously the John Wick franchise is known for like really good action, but like the amount of time that like a normal action movie would cut off of a scene, this one just stays with it. And like some involve dogs, and I'm like, is that like a real extra? Like what's going on right now? It's crazy. It set up a fourth one. Not a spoiler. That's not a spoiler. It set up a fourth one, which is like what I thought the third one was gonna be. So that was kind of interesting. Yeah. It also what I also really liked is like the main issue with like all these types of movies is like the hordes of people that we're killing are just like headshot. In this one, finally like acknowledges that and changes that issue. I can't believe you don't watch these. These are so fun.
They're on my backlog.
Oh my god. Okay, what's your next and final one?
Yes. My final first impression is Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
Ooh.
Which I can say is the best video game movie.
Hands down.
Which means
you should
I put it
introed this
at least on par with Warcraft.
Oh, you like Warcraft?
I did
more
like
than
Warcraft.
Most, though.
That's very true.
I liked Detective Pikachu so much.
It was a lot of fun.
It was so much fun. Ryan Reynolds is the fucking cutest Pikachu in the entire fucking world.
Cute.
He slayed that role. Also, can we talk about Psyduck? Fucking Psyduck killed it. Psyduck and Pikachu in car seats in the back of a car is the best thing to ever happen to cinema in 2019.
This one, even if you're not a fan of the Pokemon franchise and didn't grow up with it, it's still super cute and it's a fantastic world in it. The thing that sells this movie is the world and the detail they give in the background to all the different Pokemon and like the different characters and how they interact in this world. The main plot is a little shaky.
Sure.
Because it's a detective movie for kids.
It's a detective movie with fucking Mewtwo. Of course it's a little shaky. It's a little fucking weird at the end too. But like
it's very
the
weird
world,
at the end.
As a kid, this is literally what I used to talk to my brother about, being like, what if like Pokemon were real as we were up at our cabin like in the woods? Like, think how fucking cool this would be if there's a Rattata running through and there are some Pidgeys up in the fucking trees. It'd be so cool. And that is what this gives you. And what most movies like this would do is like would zoom in on like one thing and be like, oh look, we did this, we put this here for you. What this is doing is like give you a wide, like, look at the city, look how much there's fucking in this place.
Yeah.
Like you can pause this and poke around forever.
Pokemon forever.
You can Pokemon forever.
No, it was fantastic though, and it's a wonderful way of taking that franchise and putting it to film without it being too distracting or damaging to the original franchise. I think this was a super smart way to approach it. There are definitely some challenges that come with that that I think they ran into, but overall, super enjoyable. Especially if you like Pokemon, it was well worth a watch.
Yeah, this is also probably gonna be like definition of a movie that's gonna fall down in my rankings as the year goes on. Mm-hmm. Because I just had so much fun with it in theater. It's so much fun. Pikachu, Ryan Reynolds, I don't know what it is, but his voice coming out of a little squishy yellow mouse is the best thing ever.
Now, David, it's that time for the backlog.
No, it's not. You always fucking jump the gun. I still have one more.
I thought you started it with...
No, you started it.
Did I? Oh, I started with Godzilla, that's right.
Yeah. My final one...
I forgot I talked about Godzilla.
My final one is a documentary that I'm absolutely in love with.
Oh. You gonna marry it? You gonna propose?
No, but I want to go and, like, change my life and, like... I watched The Biggest Little Farm. Which is a movie that follows John and Molly, who, start up a natural farm. Mm-hmm. So basically they grow everything and they use no not preservatives, but they use no like chemicals or pesticides on the plants, and they basically have the farm interact with nature. It's really cool. It's very interesting. They start off the movie or this documentary with basically just a dry patch of shitty earth, and at the end of it, like it follows them I think for 5 years as they work on this farm. And it really transforms into something just absolutely beautiful in the way that they, some issues arrive, they find the solution for it without, changing what they set out to create. And, you fall in love with, like, the pig, because they also have animals on the farms. They got pigs, they got goats, they got sheep, they got ducks, they have chickens, dogs, an ox. And you fall in love with these animals who don't even, like, they're just doing what they do. They're just fucking rolling around in the mud. You got the fucking chicken that's just chilling with the pig. And I'm just like, fuck. And I'm like, I want to go get like a job on this farm. I want to be a chicken. Side note, this farm's actually hiring right now, so like, David might be moving. David might be moving. But I fucking love this so much. It's just so good. Also, the John, the husband, he used to shoot footage for, I want to say like National Geographic, but he did like that animal like cinematography. So some of the shots in this are just like so.
They're done by like somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yes. It's like you're watching Planet Earth,
but it's on a farm,
tied into this farm documentary. That's just like
that's so
super amazing.
That sounds like a blast. That sounds like a really just like a relaxing and engaging watch.
It is, and then but like it's also really. I just love the problem solving that they have in this too. Like there's an issue where like the slugs are like there's a fuck ton of slugs, like thousands of slugs, and all the slugs are eating the leaves of the lemon trees.
Fuck.
So the lemon
Fucking
trees
hell.
can't produce
These
any lemons.
goddamn slugs.
And it's like, what do we do? So like we can pull the slugs off, but they just come straight back to the lemon trees. So how do we deal with the slugs? And it's just things like that. Dealing with gophers, because the gophers are eating the roots of all the trees and killing all the trees. How do we deal with it? Farm issues, man. Farm issues.
I haven't heard you get this excited about a movie in a while, David.
I really liked it, dude. I've been hyped as fuck for The Biggest Little Farm forever. Alamo was supposed to get like 5 showings. They cut it down to 1. And I was like, no one else is going to get this. And then Southdale came through and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going. It was me and a bunch of old ladies.
Hell yeah, dream team. Alrighty, so we're going to talk about the backlog. This is a list of movies that were on our radar that we hadn't gotten around to. Sometimes they're shows. Sometimes they're coloring books, mobile idol apps, you know, just stuff
We're
we've
never
missed.
talking about apps. Don't lie to people. Yeah. You know, I downloaded a fucking Angry Birds.
I fucking love Angry Birds. Don't you dare.
Do you? God, of course.
I've been getting back into Minecraft, low key.
Holy shit.
Not on an app, but like on the actual computer. So good. So good.
Cool. All right,
David...
well, I'm going to take it over. So the first backlog on my list is one from last year that I really wanted to see. I knew I wanted to see this one, like, as soon as I heard the initial buzz, really, around it, because it just sounded so good. And that's Burning. This movie it's a slow burn. You know, things unfold... What? No. It's a slow burn though, and it unfolds the story slowly, and it shows you pieces, and you don't really. It's like having like 50 pieces to 50 different puzzles. You're like, what do I do with all this? And then you like fold it upside down, and you're like, oh, that actually all goes together. And it's just so.
Oh damn, that's a puzzle.
I know. Fuck off. I hate you. But it's so masterful, dude. This movie is. I can already tell this is going to be the movie that I revisit, like, at least 4 times a year going forward.
Jesus.
As soon as I finished it, I was like, I want to start it over again. This movie reminds me so much of, like, even though it's totally different, of, like, Zodiac, of where I just want to be in there. I want to be noticing things, see if I can, like, solve it myself. Steven Yeun is just, like, next level. This has got to be the best performance I've seen.
So fucking hot. He's so hot.
But
y'all, he's so hot.
He's basically playing like Gatsby.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if
they actually call him that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if you've seen that yet, but like that's his character is very Gatsby-esque. And the ending of this movie, the fucking ending of this movie, like the last 15-20 minutes is just like. If I would have seen this in theaters, I would have been on the edge of my seat. I would have been, like, on the fucking ground, like, leaning over the seat in front of me. It's just, it's so good. This is easily, if I would have seen this last year, easily top 5.
Damn. Now, David, I started watching this movie, and I haven't finished it. Right now, I'm about halfway through it. But then we had to record, so I had to stop it. I originally started watching this movie when I was at my friend's house. So I was like, let's watch something that neither of us have seen. Let's just go through Netflix. Oh, Burning's on there. So I watched about 50 minutes, and then we paused it because one of us had to go to the bathroom, and we were like, fuck me, that was only 50 minutes. We just weren't in the right headspace for it at the time.
Yeah, totally.
So we decided to watch a different Korean film that was on Netflix, and that is Train to Busan, which is a zombie thriller on a train. They're on a train.
That they are. Is it like Snowpiercer?
It is not like Snowpiercer. But sometimes it's kind of like Snowpiercer. And the fact that they're on a train and people like eating other people. It is... There are two ways you can watch this, and I think both are good ways to watch it. You can watch it, one, as a comedy adventure.
Interesting.
Because it's, there's some funny parts to it, and it's super engaging. It's a really fun movie. The other way you can watch is that you can take it more seriously and see it as a family drama during, like, the apocalypse. And they both work very well. I didn't watch it as much as a family drama, but I definitely got those moments. There's some things in it that are buck wild and really fun. Like, they use a lot of the same effects. So there are two effects that are used quite a bit in the movie, and that is a smoke effect and glass breaking effect. And they never look that good. So they're funny a lot when they happen. But it's engaging
So would you say
enough.
this is like almost like B grade?
No, it's still like it's in a weird spot because it's like the characters are a lot. It's a movie that knows what it is. I liked it. It was a lot of fun. There are definitely some cheesy elements, but I think it actually worked for this movie. If you think about something like Pacific Rim was goofy, right? But it was fun because it knew what it was doing. It's not as good as Pacific Rim. I just gotta get that out of the way. But it's more attuned to that, Like, it knows what it wants to be, and it knows some of the things it can't be.
That totally reminds me. This is completely off topic, but I was going to ask you if Godzilla is similar to Pacific Rim.
Not as good.
Okay. Sorry, you said Pacific Rim, and I
That's
had
totally fine.
thought...
I think I probably end up liking Train to Busan. I'm trying to think of whether I liked Godzilla more than Train to Busan or not.
Because Train to Busan got some, it got really good reviews. It got a range of praise.
I definitely enjoyed Train to Busan more.
Huh, okay.
But that's also because, I didn't have super high expectations going in, and I want Godzilla to be a lot more.
Yeah,
because,
we all did.
With the budget it gets and the iconography, it should be more. But that's a whole nother thing. It was a blast though. It was fun. It's well worth. If you have a couple of buddies over,
couple of buds,
you having a girls' night,
what?
and you just want a fun movie to watch, but one that if you want to get a little bit more serious, you can also have that option, but it's not needed to still enjoy the movie. This is a perfect pick. This is a great get some people together and watch.
Totally.
I feel like it's better to watch with people than alone.
But that's just always.
No. No. I don't want to have to watch High Life with another person.
You wouldn't watch High Life with me? Rude.
No.
Rude.
Because I would just look over at you and be like, the Orgasminator, huh? You know
What a great fucking god. That's just so good. So, the last backlog that I watched was one that's been on here for a few years. It's the doc De Palma. So,
about
this
Brian.
is basically all about Brian De Palma, who's...
I just call him Brian.
Oh, do you? First name
We're
basis?
pretty close, actually.
Who's a really talented director.
Oh, I know.
He's not... He doesn't have, the best track record.
Wow.
He has a lot of...
Okay.
I mean, he has a lot of bad movies.
Are you my friend you're talking about?
Shut the fuck up. The way that this doc works, though, is it's like you're basically just, at a diner with Brian De Palma as he talks about his filmography because it's just him. When most docs are like multiple talking heads, this is just him in a chair talking.
Interesting.
And then it cuts to like you basically just start at the top of his IMDb and you go to present day.
Is it still like engaging even though it's just him talking about it?
Totally. Yes. Very engaging.
Fuck,
very
I would
insightful.
love to just chat with my boy Brian at a diner.
Brian De Palma came up in a time where like it was him, it was Coppola, it was Scorsese, it was,
Spielberg,
yeah, all those guys. And it's such a fucking like
wild
amazing time for Hollywood, yeah. Because all these young directors coming in here, changing the game.
Did you see this? You saw the Spielberg documentary, right?
Spielberg, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good. I like this one a lot. Like, he talks about, issues with the studios as he was trying to release some of the movies. Some of the issues that he dealt with like, the rating systems when he, gave them the cut of Scarface to get rated. And he, cut it down 5 times and they were still giving him an X rating. So he said, fuck it, I'm just releasing the first cut, the most violent cut, if I'm going to be getting the X rating. And, it's interesting. And I feel like he truthfully reflects on some of his, like, not as good films in his filmography, which is
That's not something
good.
we really hear often.
No, I mean, most people just try to sugarcoat stuff, or...
I would love to hear Spike Lee talk about Old Boy.
I mean, that's the thing, though, is, like, most docs will just say, okay, we'll skip over the bad stuff. We'll just talk about Scarface and Carrie and The Untouchables and Blowout. That's it. Nothing else. But this talks about, I think, one of his short films. And
damn,
like,
that sounds so
really
cool.
Yeah. And he's just a fun dude to sit with. I liked it.
So, I also watched something that has a lot of film history ingrained into it. Maybe not as on the surface, but definitely there. That was a stretch.
But
I recently, me and my roommate actually finally sat down and watched all of season 1, pretty much within 2 days, of the TV show Barry.
Oh shit! How was this?
So fucking good, and I cannot wait to start season 2. It is phenomenal. You would love it.
So okay,
Bill Hader. So basically, the premise of the show is there's a hitman that is like just kind of like he's a nice guy. He was in the military. Just like this is the only thing he's good at, so that's all he does.
Mm-hmm.
But like he doesn't want to deal with the money side of it. Like he lets Fuchs takes care of everything. He's just there to do the kill. And he is following in this first episode. He's following one of the people he's supposed to kill. And like he actually walks into an acting class that the person is in. And the person's like, "Hey, come on, you're going to be my scene partner because my other person didn't show up." So he brings Bill Hader's character Barry, the titular Barry, onto stage, and like he just really quietly reads his lines very stiffly, but then at the end of it, people applause clearly for the other guy, and then Barry just kind of like turns and looks at them, and you see like this whole new life form in his eyes, and like he's like, "Oh my god, this is what I got to do." It is so funny and like really, really well done. One thing about this show is it sets up like these issues and ongoing problems that a lot of other shows won't resolve for like a season or more. And this show just like deals with issues right away. Deals with the outfall of the consequences. So it's not like we got to be worried about this. It's like, no, I'm worried about what's going to happen to me as a person.
Right. That's really cool.
There's so much film jokes that you would love. Like there's one point where he does a scene, then like his teacher gives him this scene to do. He gives him, he's like, "I want to give you range, I want to give you a challenge, do this script." Okay? So we see him go up there, and Bill Hader, his delivery is perfect. He's like, "Can you actually put the coffee down? Coffee is for closers." And he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, I feel like if I want to help these guys, like, sell more, like, I want to be encouraging to them." It's like, that's not the point of it. But it's got so many things like that, or like, there'll be like news coverage kind of on in the background. They're talking about something that happened in the show, and he's like, "It's a lot like the Kurosawa film Yojimbo." I'm like, Okay, how do you spell that? I think it's exactly how you spell. And like as it kind of like fades into the distance, you're like, now is that the only film that Kurosawa made? Actually, no. But like it's a police chief like answering these questions about Kurosawa. It's really, really smart.
Question.
Yes.
How would you clarify? Like, would you say this is like 100% comedy?
No, it is. There's definitely some incredibly sharp comedy, but there are some scenes that like are incredibly intense and emotional.
Okay.
But it's definitely a comedy first, but it does the other things like the action and the drama and like dealing with emotions so well. It is phenomenal. Okay. It's won multiple Emmys, both for like the production side of it. It's acting. It's so good.
I've been like hesitantly almost about to pull the trigger every time to watch it, and I just haven't.
Excellent. Excellent use of words. Pull the trigger. That was good.
Thank you. But also, one that's top of the list, I'm probably going to watch first and then Barry, is Chernobyl, which, did you hear the great news about Chernobyl? It is now the highest rated TV show on IMDb.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah. Steve has been recommending that. So we'll probably talk about that on our next episode. Yes. Our next episode, I will have been to another country.
That's rad. I have never left this country.
This is my first time. I'm going to Japan.
Ooh. You're about to pop your chair.
I'm going to be on a plane for a long time, a lot, so I'm going to be watching a whole bunch of in-flight entertainment. We're going to take a brief little break in recording. It'll be like instantaneous for you.
For you guys. For us, it'll be fucking eternity.
David.
As Ethan falls in the shower and doesn't get up.
You know what we're going to do?
I'm going to go barbecue real quick.
What we're going to do for what you're about to hear, you are going to hear an ad break we made for the longest episode we ever recorded that we just threw in the garbage because it was like a nightmare to listen to. But we made ads for it because it was so long. So you're going to get to hear some of those ads. And they're not the best quality because it was recorded a while ago, but they're fun. I hope you enjoy them.
Maybe we could start doing ads for a printer cast.
Get the fuck out of my podcast. I'll see you guys in a bit.
Hi, my name's Bramblebee. I own Bramblebee's Bargain Cars, and we sell some real good deals on cars. We even sold this one. It was Bumblebee, the Transformer. Car dealership that Bumblebee's from. We're the car dealership the Bumblebee was from. We got some real good deals, so come on down. My name's Bramblebee. Fuck.
Do the ad while you're eating your pretzels and hummus.
No, that is the ad.
Oh, you're gonna eat some? Okay.
Yeah.
Go on. Listen to the delicious crunch of pretzel chips and hummus. Hi there, I'm Randy Cowboy Boy, and I support pretzel chips and hummus, the only way to fuck.
And my name's Johnny Guitar.
Is that it? That's the whole character?
Yep.
Okay. Pretzel crisps and hummus. Good for fucking.
Do an ad for that pumpkin eraser.
Introducing new orange and green pumpkin lubrication lubricated erasers.
Well, hold on. Now, why is it lubricated? Why is the eraser lubricated?
No, this adds a Q&A now. Why is it lubricated?
You came into
You
the
just
ad
flicked
studio.
your hands as if they were wet after picking up the eraser.
Our wets.
Now, hold on. You came into the marketing studio where we're developing real ads for real products.
In real time.
In real time. And you came in here with a garbage product.
And a garbage pitch.
And now we've ruined. Now we can't use this take. But we definitely still will.
Because we can't afford not to.
Not to. Boy howdy, do I got a product for you. Do you not know how to play guitar, but can play guitar better than whatever the fuck is going on in the background here? Well, listen. Let's say you're going to a party, and you ever been to a party where there's a guitar there and you don't know how to play it, but still want to impress all of the people at the party? It's so loud. It's so loud. I can't do the bit over this bad guitar. This bad loud guitar. So you're at this party. And you think, well, I can play guitar a little bit. No one or two chords. And you think, well, I just have to have someone go up first who's way worse. It's rent a shitty guitar player. $9.99. They'll show up unannounced to a house party, break in the back door with a guitar that they've never seen before. And they'll just fucking...
New guy every time.
New
so
guy
he
every
can't
time.
learn.
He can't learn. There's no progress ever made.
He'll make you look super good at playing guitar because he's that bad.
He's that bad. This is the product we sell. Listen to that bad guitar. Hi, I'm Bad Guitar Brian.
I also play the guitar as bongos.
No, but that actually sounds pretty good. You play it like August Rush. Just hit the guitar on top of the strings. No, don't slam the guitar. Oh, shit. God, it's awful. TM.
TM. Trademarked. Copyright.
Oh,
Don't you dare steal it.
don't you dare.
Commercial break, more like dinner break. Am I right?
And you got to kick it off from there. Welcome back, everybody.
We
so what
had
we're-
some food. We had a little bit of a breather before we talk about... David, what are we talking about?
We are gonna do a special little 2-year bash. We're talking about some of our, favorite films.
Should we do you want to talk about a little bit of the podcast side first? Do you want to talk about some of our favorite moments and then we can go into the movies?
Yeah, I have one moment that
I got a
always
couple.
I got one moment that is just my favorite. It's the gift that keeps giving, and it's the biggest fuck up I've ever made in my entire life. And that's when I forgot to push record for what was probably about 50 minutes worth of recording. And that was just that joke. I still love it because it's so terrible to think about of not pushing record.
Yeah, that's
And there are so many times I still think about it. I look, I'm like, is this thing recording? It's
You're a nervous Nelly now.
it's so I am, but it's
David,
fucking-
that's not the only time you fucked up.
No, it is. No, it is.
No, because one of my favorite moments is the moment you realized you watched a different Ben 10 movie than I did.
Well, maybe you were the one who fucked up there.
I think we both did.
That
Because
was
we
so-
both decided that we were going to watch a Ben 10 movie. And I think that was fuck up number 1.
Yeah,
But that was a really good moment.
that was.
Do you want to know my favorite pitch you've ever done?
Can I guess what it is?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get. Ooh, actually, fuck. I was gonna say the TMNT one, but maybe it's the documentary one.
It is the documentary one's fun, but it's actually Tripping Hazard, which was about a slasher who was just a really nice guy, but then these paranoid teens just like fuck his whole shit up.
I loved that one.
That was so much fun.
That one was really good. God, that was back in the day. That was like
2 years ago.
That was. Shit, that was a good one. I like that one a lot.
That one was really fun. I really like not knowing what we're gonna do for our intro until literally right before we record. That's always a fun one.
That every time. Every time.
We never
one day we'll have like a structure. Like we have a light structure here.
That's true.
This is
I
like
like
the
it, though. It's
casual
fun.
dress work area where it's like, you know what? Fuck it.
I'm wearing shorts right now. Yeah.
You know what my favorite pitch that you've done is? Oh, fuck, this is actually between two.
Okay.
But I think the cute off is just gold.
Damn, so it's been downhill since episode 1.
No, well, the other one I was gonna say is I forget if there was a name to it, but it was the music one, the singing one.
The one about the band?
Yeah.
With Donald Glover.
Yeah, and Mia Wasikowska.
Yeah, and
I
Jake
really
Gyllenhaal.
like that. That one was really
I don't
good.
remember if I had a title for that one. That was a fuck. I would love watching that movie.
I know, right?
One of the other things I really appreciate, David, is every now and then you just out of nowhere just hit me with like just talking about a printer, or you'd be like, so I broke my toe the other day, and I'll be like, fucking what? You got to build up to these things, my dude.
No, dude, I just jump right into it. I dive, head first, no hands, fucking just like swan dive in.
It's been a
Not a
real
swan
fun
dive.
2 years. I
It
gotta
really
say.
has been.
I like
You know,
we've had our ups and
changed-
downs. We've changed things.
You know what? Here's the real question. What's your favorite episode that hasn't been released? Let's just keep being fucking teases with these non-released episodes.
I don't know. I really like the ones we released. This year's been like really. There's been a lot of great moments in this far.
Oh, this year's
Yeah,
killing
this
it.
year slaps.
I loved our Okja episode.
That was a fun one. That was what War for the Planet of the Apes in Okja.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a really good episode, I thought.
Yeah, that was good talk. Rest in peace.
Or the Jamboree is also.
That was too much.
That was like 4 hours of first impressions.
Oof, that was brutal.
Was it longer or was it 4?
It's probably. I think we recorded for like 5 hours.
God,
That
was
sucked.
the sweatiest fucking day ever.
It was so.
That was
bad.
just disastrous.
Oh.
That was crazy. I remember
Anyway.
Yeah.
We'll do a little bit dive back into memory lane at the end of the episode. We got a special fix and pitch for you guys. But for right now, we're going to talk about our favorite movies of all time. And we want to do some honorable mentions of what is going to be like in our other tops. Just because those ones, I know they do for me. I'm sure they do for you. Like, they change. Those
change
ones are
all
really
the time.
fluid, you know? Yeah.
I like knocking down like a top 10 or a top 5 is so difficult for me because it really does change with the mood I'm in, in just everything. And there's so many good movies, like really good movies, like masterpieces. And but there's always that one that's
Yeah, I think
at
our
the top of
tops.
the list.
Yeah, our tops are pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Like for what is number one, that's been definitely for a while, and we're pretty
this is one of
hard
my-
set into
Yeah.
it. So yeah, let's quickly go through some honorable mentions. We wanted to kind of do it as like a top 5, so we have 4 honorable mentions. Because they're so fluid and kind of move around a lot, we didn't want to order those so they're not really in a particular order, because that changes like minute by minute.
Yeah. So my top 4 honorable mentions are The Departed, Zodiac, All the President's Men, and Jurassic Park.
Fucking all great movies. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I have The Holy Mountain, There Will Be Blood, Spirited Away, and F for Fake,
Fascinating.
which are all. I feel like we got a good set of like
Super
older
unique.
movies, and mine are all weird.
Yours are all super weird. Like your most mainstream movie is There Will Be Blood, which
Maybe Spirited Away.
no way.
I don't know.
U.S. mainstream, no way.
I feel like Ghibli's more mainstream than P.T. Anderson.
Oh, I don't know about that. See, I think you were just I don't know. I bet if you ask more people who like weren't like real like
who weren't real? Like ghosts? You want me to ask ghosts?
Well, if you asked, Slimer, he wouldn't know.
What do you think Slimer's favorite movie is?
Oh,
is it the Dumb and Dumber prequel?
No, I think
Short Circuit 2.
I think he would
Schindler's
probably be
List.
like a Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Interesting. All right.
I could see him really liking that.
Okay. How to Eat Fried Worms. Maybe he's a big fan of Holes.
Aren't we all? Shia. Golden Day.
Shia.
Golden Boy.
They call him Zero.
God. So, my favorite film. I think we just dive right into this.
Short Circuit 2.
No, it's actually Firehouse Dog.
Hell yeah.
My favorite
Don't
film...
spoil my favorite movie.
My favorite film is Damien Chazelle's Whiplash. Starring Miles Teller, J.K. Simmons, and, another, cast of misfit actors and actresses. Fuck.
Tim Burton presents
So this is based...
Drum School.
This is like the expanded version of Damien Chazelle's short film called Whiplash, which was basically just like a single
seen
scene
that?
from the... I have.
I haven't.
Oh, really?
What scene is
You
it?
should check it. It's the
Is it the tempo scene?
Yeah. And it's a lot
fair.
better than the movie. But like it's still like for a short film, for how young Damien Chazelle was when he made this, I think he was like 26 when he made the feature. Like that's fucking crazy. He was my age right now making my favorite film.
How does that make you feel?
Oh, not good. But I mean, Damien Chazelle though also is, he's out of this world. Like all of his movies he's made have been top notch.
Oh yeah.
And to think about how young he is. But Whiplash is the story of a drummer who
Named Andrew
Neiman, who gets invited to be a part of Schaefer's top jazz band, and he meets J.K. Simmons' character, and they they have a unique relationship, and it's basically the movie's basically what it takes to become great, and if that is too much,
Okay.
and if it's right to
How far can you push someone before
they
need to push
break.
back? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like bending a pencil, It's
Yeah,
a neat
and
trick
that-
until it breaks.
And it's all of that wrapped in a amazing jazz, with amazing jazz music. Miles Teller is actually playing the drums in this movie, and it's fucking insane to think that this kid can play the drums that well.
Yeah,
Like,
it's insane.
It's like he could be a professional jazz drummer, I think.
Yeah,
Like,
easily.
he's insane on the drums, which is really cool because like I played percussion in middle school,
Wow.
and just seeing I was not good. I was so fucking bad. But like seeing somebody this good is just amazing. So do we want to do non-spoiler for yours, and then hop into spoiler?
Yeah, I think that's good. So, what would you say are the biggest strengths of this movie for someone wanting to pick it up for Whiplash?
The biggest strength is J.K. Simmons, hands down. He's so good. But also Miles Teller, this is probably his best performance out there.
Of all time. He has not come even close to being this good.
And their dynamic on screen is out of this world. Miles Teller's character, his relationship with his father, and watching that, how it morphs into this like beast, and just watching his development down this path. Like this is a story you've seen before, but never in this fashion and never this well told.
Yeah. It's also got some of the most compact editing I've seen in like decades.
The editing is so jazz.
Yeah,
Like,
and all the music's phenomenal as well. Oh
yeah.
my god, it's really, really, really. The whole thing
feels, I wouldn't say it feels like a jazz concert. It's way darker, you know?
It's very dark, yeah.
But it feels like a kind of seedy jazz bar, you know?
Yes.
Like an underground, but not. That was a stretch of a metaphor.
And this is the kind of movie where just like two people talking, no matter how loud, it just makes you fucking sweat.
Yeah.
Like, stresses you out. And like, there's dinner scenes here that are fucking like, you've probably been in a situation like this. Mm-hmm. Like, Andrew's character, although his path is different than probably a lot of people's, like, I feel like a lot of people would connect to situations he's been in.
Well, and that's the thing. It never gets, like, I don't know. It's all mental manipulation it's all performance-based. And not, like, them giving the performance, but it's like, you are either not going to be good enough to do this, or you're going to be able to do this. You get to pick. Yeah. And that's it. It doesn't go into, like, some of the, like, psychological manipulation that a lot of other movies of that nature do, which makes it far more realistic, you know? Yeah. Because nobody thinks that they're the bad guy of the movie.
No, I mean, that's one of the amazing things about this movie. Is you can walk away from this movie having 2 point of views and be correct with either one.
Yeah. Oh,
like, there is no right or wrong.
It's really, really tight. Like,
this is also the only movie I've ever watched full feature and then immediately watched it again with the director's commentary.
That's awesome. Oh, so good. It's an excellent pick, by the way.
Also, if you want to see J.K. Simmons actually slap Miles Teller, you get to see that here. If you want to see Miles Teller actually tackle J.K. Simmons and then break his rib in real life, that's also in here. So,
I thought we weren't going to do spoilies.
Oh, but that's so out of context spoiler.
So my favorite film, so again, we're going to do like a little bit of non-spoiler stuff, and then we'll go a deeper spoiler talk about both of them. We'll let you know when that's happening. We'll probably even have timestamps that you can follow along if you're listening. Just check your description and you'll see like where those timestamps are. If you want to skip ahead, we'll do our best not to, like, once we reach that point, not to go back and spoil again. But yeah, so that's just notes for the listeners and maybe me as an editor too. Whatever. My favorite film of all time, the one that I've seen so many times and in so many different ways as well at different parts in my life. It's phenomenal every single time, and each new time I watch it, I find more things to love about it. Mine is Terry Gilliam's film Brazil. It is a dystopian fantasy satire, Orwellian nightmare fun time adventure.
That's fascinating. That description was just...
Was there any part of that was wrong?
No, that was all correct. On the nose. Just hearing it said out loud is
the basic plot is you get to see Jonathan Pryce, a young Jonathan Pryce,
very young.
Yes, a middle-aged Jonathan Pryce.
Yeah.
You see Jonathan Pryce who plays plays a baby in this movie.
You watch him crawl.
There are babies in this movie, but not fun.
There are babies in this movie.
Anyway, so it's about Jonathan Pryce, who plays Sam Lowry, who is a kind of low-level bureaucrat that, you know, he's really good at his job and able to rise up, but he doesn't really care to. He knows that he's just a cog in the machine and doesn't really want to do anything about it. It's kind of a darker world. There are terrorist attacks that happen, but everyone is so caught up in their own thing that they have no empathy for other people. They just ignore it. You know, there's parts where they're at dinner and there's like an explosion and they just put up a barrier, just like the ones that you would like change behind if you were in like a 1940s detective film. Like just the little dividers, and then they just go back to eating. And like it's a beautifully dark satire. It was, so you finished it, right?
I did.
What did you think of the movie as a whole?
I thought it was interesting. The production is really good. I would have been fine. I don't think this is a spoiler without the dream sequences.
Okay.
I thought they were just a little too strange. And
on rewatches, they get better.
I'm sure they do.
Because they add a lot more to it, to the story as a whole. But I definitely get... They're very strange at first.
They are very strange. The camera work here, I really like. This, I literally just finished it, 3 hours ago?
Yeah.
4 hours ago? And it's such a strange kind of a beast of a movie to digest.
Yeah, it's still sticking with you,
There's so much
right?
going on, and there's characters running in and out of the story.
You have Michael Palin and Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro, who I thought was going to be like a one-time character.
But yeah, so all these different characters jumping in and out of the story, intersecting in different ways, and certain plot things that don't seem like they're not addressed as important in the time, but then later on you see that they actually were important and have consequences.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's good. I just wish it was a little tighter. Which I'm sure it's one of those things.
Once it digests a little bit more, it's possible it might not land like this, but it was one that it feels after rewatching it goes by so quickly. And those certain moments that you want to be long are long, and it's if it was too, because it's a really dense movie. There's a lot going on, and it's one for me if it was shorter. You wouldn't have time to really live in those moments enough, and there'd be too much going on to latch onto anything. But if it was too long, then it would be way too drawn out and convoluted. For me, it's right in that kind of perfect spot for it. So yes, it's like what, 2.5 hours. So it's definitely a little bit longer than a lot of people are used to for it. But I think it uses all of that time efficiently, but organically. These are both really good movies. They're very different movies.
Very different. They're so different. Do we want to just dive into them?
Yeah, we're going to go into spoilers, y'all, because we both watched these movies, and there's a lot to talk about, because clearly they're our favorite movies, so, the things that make them good are everything about them. So we need to talk about everything about them, and there's some spoilers in everything. So, fuck off for a bit. If you don't
or just watch it. Or you can
just
just jump ahead to our pitch and fix.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you there. Unless you're not a coward or have good taste and have watched these already. In which case, hey, how's it going?
Which one do you think has been watched by more people?
Brazil, just because it's had more time to be watched.
Interesting.
I mean, they both got Oscar buzz and nomination and crazy awards buzz for both and wins for both.
Did Brazil win?
It won Best Picture from LA Film Critics, which is a pretty big one. And it hadn't been released at that point when it won.
Yeah. So,
which
Whiplash.
is also funny.
Let's jump into it. So we open up with Andrew. Here's one of the greatest little things that I didn't know until the director's commentary is that Neiman, which is how Fletcher pronounces his name, it's actually Nyman. So he changes the pronunciation of his last name to
fit,
make him
wow,
to make him smaller of a person.
Damn,
and to, it just sounds so I don't even it doesn't sound like a strong name at all when you say Neiman, you know?
Yeah.
Sounds like
but Nyman definitely is. That's a strong name.
But we open up with Andrew and his dad going to the movies, which I just love this opening little tidbit of a line where the father pours in the chocolate covered raisins, you know, and he's like, oh, grab a handful, and Andrew's just like, no, I eat around it, which is how he's been living his entire life, with accepting the position he's been put in and the way that people treat him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, as he joins this band, he starts to change his personality for, better or for the worse, depending on how you look at it. And then we get that scene where he's at dinner with his family, and they're all giving praise to, I want to say, probably his cousins.
Yeah, it's other family members.
Yeah, and he cuts it down, and it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie because they're all just showering praise onto the cousins for, being the quarterback at a D3 football or a D3 college, and then for, being a Rhodes Scholar or whatever he is.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? What's it called that he was a part of?
It's been a while.
No, I know. On his path to being a Rhodes Scholar, though, and they ask Andrew how he's doing with his band, and they just brush it off like it's nothing, even though it really is something that it's a great achievement for what he's been doing, but nobody cares, and he wants that recognition from people. He wants people to see that it's something that he's achieved. And, he fights back, and he breaks down the other two people for what they've done and how they'll never actually be something in the grand scheme of things. And then it turns into this whole thing, like, would you rather live a long life and, have nobody know you, or would you rather die at a young age and have made a great impact on everyone? Which is,
But which one would you want?
Me?
Yeah. Just like a fun hypothetical.
This is way too big of a hypothetical. I don't know. But that's Andrew's whole journey, is basically that path. We see him. We literally
and finding out what he wants that answer to be.
Yeah, because we see both paths play out for him. We see the one where he leaves the band. He gets the normal job. He lives the normal life for a 20-year-old, in a shitty apartment.
Yeah, because he has that moment that he can step aside and see the damage, and learning that the other student committed suicide, and
which is
how he feels after the car crash. It gets real dark, and he's able to step away and be like, well, I mean, it's not quite his choice, but
he's kicked out of.
He has time to reflect on it and to actually think about the consequences.
But then he runs into Fletcher at a bar where we see J.K. Simmons play a little piano.
Yep.
And then we get another great dialogue scene where we get the two worst words in the English language are "good job," which is again another great idea brought up by this character, where it's if we keep just telling people "good job," good enough, is it good enough or is it good job? I think it's good enough. It's good enough that they won't push further to achieve the actual greatness that they are capable of.
Mm-hmm. Like when you told me the podcast was, good enough.
Good enough.
And I was
it wasn't.
It wasn't.
But if you get told that over and over again, then you start to believe it, and it's just, and then
that's where we're at right now, where we believe that the podcast is good. I just want to add a bit of levity.
But Andrew also brings up the point where it's
the podcast is great.
No. Can you push that next Charlie Parker too far?
Exactly.
And then we get the great line from Fletcher where he's, I don't know, I've never had a Charlie Parker. But he doesn't fucking know that he's got Andrew in his class. And then we get this insane climactic, concert, where Andrew isn't given his sheet music for the music, which I just imagine going into a concert without my music.
It's just being cruel.
An absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
And then we see Andrew, fucking just reach out and
grab Fletcher by the balls.
Yeah, basically. Fix my...
Finally play for himself for the first time,
Yeah, and there's that great scene where he, walks off stage for a second and his dad comes around to meet him. And then he literally looks the average life in the face at that moment, Yeah. He sees what could be mediocrity. And he turns around and goes back onto stage. It's just amazing. And then he fucking crushes his solo. Mm-hmm. Fletcher's fucking coming in his pants. Hardcore. And then that's the movie. I mean, and one of the really interesting things is Chazelle talks about what the future of Andrew's character would look like. And it would look like death, becoming addicted to drugs and eventually dying. So it's super, super uplifting and happy.
Yeah, it's a really good note to end on.
But that's why it's a subjective thing. Do you want to push yourself to that point? Do you want somebody to also forcibly push you? Because that's what Fletcher's character is. It's not you know, okay, if you want to take a break, like, we'll take a break. You know, Fletcher is that unstoppable force of motivation.
Yeah.
Even
it's
if
like,
you don't want it.
Do you want to get pushed to be your best, but end up being the worst for yourself, or just be normal?
But we don't even know if it's the worst for himself. Because, like, what if Andrew lives a life of never achieving what he said
everything that we are shown in the movie of that success, the specific type of success with these characters, doesn't end well. That's why you have the other student that committed suicide. That why you have him, like, in these destructive patterns. Like, your teacher throwing chairs at you and you're crashing a car.
That's the journey, though. I think the destination, though, is totally different. And I think that the suicide is actually supposed to make us believe that maybe that other person wasn't actually a Charlie Parker equivalent. He was somebody who almost got there. He was so close, but he didn't get there.
It's such a dark line to play of, like, oh no, he committed suicide not because he was pushed too far, but because he wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's super dark, but that could be possible. I think there's also the fascinating scene of Fletcher's character in the hallway with, like, the student and, like, the little girl, where he's just, like, being, like, a nice dude, and then he comes back in and he just fucking rips apart his classroom. There's also the scene, which is so amazing, where is it the brass section that had a mistake? And he goes down the line of each person, and he calls out the random fat person and says, like, did you make the mistake? And he just admits it, even though it wasn't him who made the mistake. And you know, then you get Fletcher saying, like, he didn't know that it wasn't him that made the mistake, and that's even worse.
Yeah, it's a lot. J.K. Simmons is fucking phenomenal.
He's pretty jacked in this movie.
He's a thick boy.
He's looking really good in that black tee.
Yeah, he's an absolute fucking unit.
I just love what it says about, like, success and what it takes and if it's worth it, if it's not worth it. And it's...
Well, and there's also the whole thing of, like, what they're doing is, like, even though it's music, it's still a performance, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, that's the whole thing. It's, like, it's not, like...
Dude,
it's a whole different type of art form as well.
This movie could be told this, like, with the same exact, like, plot points with ballet.
And it was called Black Swan.
No, that's so different, dude. That's so fucking different. Or, like, any sport, anything.
Yeah,
really.
Like Mighty Ducks.
God, I hate you.
Hey, you're the one that opened it up for comparison. I don't think there's really a sports movie that comes even, like, anywhere close to this.
But I'm saying, like, you could retell this story, though. Like, this same dynamic between, like, coach and student, teacher and student, coach and athlete.
But it's one that, like, with athletics, there's so much, like, it's okay if you fall behind a little bit. The rest will catch up. When it comes to, like, especially jazz and performing, especially, like, with how fast and complicated and advanced the stuff they were working on is, like, if you fuck up one note on one bar, you've ruined it.
Yeah, and that's, like, Fletcher's reactions to the band that he pulls Miles Teller out of, and he just, like, picks apart each other musician for just being shit, even though they're, like, probably okay, you know.
But that's the thing is he's not looking for okay. He's looking
I know.
The absolute, like,
insane
so standards he holds, and, like, a lot of times that I think it can really hinder people's, like, potential. And on the off chance it helps them, it has a lot of consequences on top of that.
I think here's what I take away from it is Fletcher's, you know, teaching methods is going to break a lot of really good people from ever doing music again. But in the one situation where we have Miles Teller's character, we're going to get, like, the best of the generation.
Well, but even then, it still doesn't, like, the film is really good at not saying whether or not that makes it worth it. It really leaves that open for interpretation, and that's, like, a huge strength for the movie. Because, like, I think you and I feel differently about whether or not that's worth it then. But we're both like we're basing that on what the film tells us.
Yeah, no, the movie allows you to make that decision for yourself. It just simply says that that's what happened, and is it good, is it bad? You can decide.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's really, really well done. And for a
so
directorial debut,
it's
fucking
out of
Christ.
this world. It's so there's so much confidence in those edits, and the fact that like I think it was his college roommate who wrote the music for this.
It's insane.
It's just fucking.
I hate how talented some people are. Pissed me off.
Damien Chazelle
can go fuck himself.
He can continue doing exactly what he's doing right now and making amazing movies like this, La La Land, First Man.
Yeah.
Grand Piano he wrote Grand Piano.
That's true.
Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, it's okay. But I also it's kind of scary to think that Damien Chazelle talks about this as being the movie being like a personal experience. Like he apparently went through something very similar to this because he was in jazz band.
Yikes.
And it's just it's interesting.
He had a car crash, but he never came back.
Okay, the car crash is the 5 seconds of the movie that I don't really like.
I think it's good symbolically. In the movie, it doesn't play as well as it could.
Yeah,
but
and it's like the one moment every single time I watch it, I'm like, I just want to look away. Even though I like the way the crash is shot, it's like staying inside of the car. That's fucking awesome. And then staying there as he crawls out. But I'm just like, this is the one moment where I'm just like, I don't buy
But he
it.
needed it, you know? Like, that shows how, destructive he was, not only in his personal relationships, but just in general. It adds a lot more to it, even if it doesn't quite work narratively. It really works metaphorically.
Yeah. There's also the great scene where we find out that the past student had just committed suicide, even though Fletcher tells the class that he died in a car accident.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's some of the parallel, too.
Yeah. And then Fletcher raises complete hell on those 3 jumping students. And he keeps them in there going over the... What's it called? How to double swing. What's it fucking called? The jump...
Double time?
Do you know? Double time. And... Is it double time?
I think so.
And no student can get in. They're just going over and over. They're bleeding at the hands, completely dripping sweat everywhere. And Fletcher's just eating them apart. Because, the insults in this movie are the greatest insults since Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
Maybe even better. Honestly, I think I like them better, because hearing them from
For the final father-fucking time.
They're just so good. Are you a single tier, motherfucker? It's just... so good.
When Mommy found out Daddy wasn't Eugene O'Neill.
God. I don't even know what I was saying about that scene with the 3 kids. I just really like it. And then
his insults, unparalleled. It's so fun. God. And, they're not things you should quote, but I love quoting them.
I want to know how much of that was written.
Like a 9-year-old girl.
The
fatherless, faggot-lipped.
The mini-me part, where the little dude walks in twice. Get the fuck out of here before I smash you, mini-me. Oh, fuck.
He's so good. J.K. Simmons,
really
absolutely. And now it kind of sucks is because, he hasn't really gone to that.
Well, no, he's never, definitely... Well, the only thing we can all hope for is that the multiverse brings J. Jonah Jameson back into the MCU, and he can continue his tirade on Spider-Man.
That's true.
But he was
Tell
also
me, Spider-Man, were you rushing or were you dragging?
There's also... He had, I think, a Showtime show that was pretty good, from what I hear. I watched, 2 episodes.
Oh?
But then I canceled Showtime. Yeah.
Well...
if that doesn't sell you, I don't know what will. So let's talk about this little movie called Brazil. There is a score in Brazil that reminds me of, I don't remember which Star Wars score it is. It could be the Princess Leia? I don't know. which one, but it sounds eerily similar.
Oh.
Okay.
So, okay. There are a lot of... So it's an Orwellian dystopia, right, for Brazil?
Can we break down, really quickly, Orwellian dystopia, based off of George Orwell?
Yep. And his
What
book,
is-
1984.
Yes. Which shows us a dystopian future that is...
How society can turn on each other for the benefit of whether, like, a government or, like, the way that we lose empathy but remain quote-unquote order. The original title for Brazil was going to be 1984 and a half.
Really?
Yes.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Ballsy as fuck.
I'm glad they changed it because it lets
Why
it stand on
is
its
it
own.
called Brazil?
The reason it's called Brazil is the tune that you hear in it, especially towards the end, that you hear like multiple times. It has a lot of reprises. The do 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 do. So the inspiration for the film, sorry, it's been a while since I heard this long conversation Terry Gilliam had, but basically he was going past and he saw that there was a guy that was in I'm pretty sure he was in like a suit or like a uniform, and he had the song Brazil playing on this small little like portable radio kind of thing, while they were in like this kind of like mill area or something like that. It's still like an industrial area, and he just saw like that was his that man's escapism, and that man's fantasy was this song. So that he used that as the title of the film, is like it's escapism, and that's one of the purest things that go over it.
Interesting.
So one of the things that really sets it apart for me versus other Orwellian films or things that are like dystopian sci-fi things, so like things that I think are better than Blade Runner or even, let's say, 1984, for example. In 1984, you have Big Brother. You have this actual enemy, you know? There's no real bad guy in Brazil. It's like how society treats each other as a whole, you know? Like, Sam Lowry is a bureaucrat who is just as, like, doesn't care about other people. He's so focused on himself and how he can escape, like, into the fantasy world, and like, it's just paperwork, whatever. As every other person there, there's no one is, there's not have to rise up against a cruel one, like a cruel bad guy or anything like that, or an organization or the government, you know? It's literally just people. Like, society just sucks, and it's finding that and knowing you can't escape from that because there's no one to fight.
But
like,
I mean,
think about what Tuttle's, like, his reason for being a rebel. He just doesn't like paperwork, you know? But he loves plumbing. So now he's a rebellious plumber that goes around and does plumbing for everyone for free. Like, he's against paperwork. And because he's against paperwork, it leads to these more problems of them wanting to arrest him, things like that. But, like, that's the main thing.
yes.
You know, there's not like a corrupt government. It's like, it's the problems that come with bureaucracy and paperwork, but it's not like, it's never really.
But isn't it the corrupt system and the information collection or whatever it's called?
But that's everyone that's there, you know, because the flaws that are brought up in the film aren't just about that, you know. It's also about how his mom just wants, you know, all this plastic surgery and how it's just to feel the ego, or like no one cares about terrorism, and like the only people to care about this wrongful death was this, like, the one neighbor, and then eventually it was Sam Lowry, but everyone goes, it's just someone else's problem, and it's that kind of indifference is the big problem in the society.
Okay, so here's what I took away from this movie, I guess, is that it's the story of, I mean, really two people, right? Mm-hmm. Both characters, the guy and the girl.
Yeah.
And it's what happens when their, you know, veil has been lifted up of the system in the world that they live in, and the injustices that are going on, and how they deal with that.
Well, I don't know if it's necessary. Like, I don't think he was definitely aware of them being a thing before. It's just he didn't care to do anything about it until it affected the literal girl of his dreams. I don't know. It's really there's a great satire with that, you know, where it's like, oh, the problem in the world is that no one cares.
But the reason that she started to do stuff is because of what she saw happen below her.
Right, but then she was just trying to, like, figure out the information for it. She wasn't trying to take down this whole system. The only reason that it then became, like, a police thing was because he, like, being, like, fueling his bravado, you know, and, like, made it worse.
But the reason, though, I think that the veil has been lifted is because, like, when they're in that diner scene, right? Mm-hmm. And the bomb goes off, nobody else even wants to pay attention to it. But he's the only one who, like, recognizes what's going on and, like, sees that something's happening. Like, everyone else is trying to live in their, you know, safe
in their own
bubble.
fantasies, yeah.
Yeah. So you think he's been... If you would have looked at him in that same situation, you know, before the events of the movie took place, that he would have had the same reaction.
Look at how he acts.
Because he was complacent in his... Before the movie started. Like, he wanted to stay in his, you know...
the only
what's the department that he's working in?
The information retrieval, or no, where he goes.
Before he takes the promotion.
It's
paper, just paper. What's it called? There's a word for it. It's the fucking word for paper. Files, not
filing.
No. Jesus, wow. But
documentation.
Yeah, sure. But he's fine with being in there, though. You know, he's settled in that place. He isn't trying to change the system,
right?
Or change
and the only reason he moves up is to find more about this girl.
Yeah. So
it's not to find out more about the injustice of that murder, the wrongful, like, arrest and then murder of this innocent man. It's literally just because he sees something that he'd like to escape into.
Which is her.
Right. Yeah, into her vinyanya.
Which is honestly, that line for sex is so funny. The necrophilia one? I never thought I would laugh at a joke about necrophilia until then. And I was like, holy shit, that fucking...
There's so much dark humor in this one.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like, the fucking, like, the jelly corpse.
yeah.
At the funeral scene, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That final...
Like, sequence?
Well, no, not the whole sequence. That, like, bridge set is fucking amazing.
Did you like the baby face? And, like, one of the worst close-ups of all time in terms of, like,
creepy.
Frightening. Yeah.
This movie's very interesting. There's so much going on, and there's almost... I don't even know if there's a word to explain this, but there were points in me where I was like, what am I missing right now? Like, when they're talking about, like, you know, what's his face's character not wanting to do paperwork, I'm like, okay, am I overthinking this? Am I underthinking this? What is actually happening here? And it's just, it's such a different movie. Mm-hmm. I think it's my second Terry Gilliam film seeing.
What was your first?
12 Monkeys?
You haven't seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
No.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, okay. I
know. Have you seen The Brothers Grimm?
Nope.
With Heath Ledger and...
Is it good?
No.
I didn't know that. Oh, okay. I didn't even know that was him.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah.
So there's a lot of... One thing that I talked about earlier in the non-spoiler part is there's a lot of tiny things that in the moment are, like, just kind of ignored. So, like, the fact that his car is on fire is one. Mm-hmm. You know, like, that they burn the car. But then they're like, oh, you need to file a thing for the missing car, and then also you should get a new suit. And then because he puts the new suit on, that means he doesn't have his ID. And then that leads to the police trying to lock, like, that chase, and then that leads to him finding her, and then them going on that chase. It's wild.
Yeah, I mean,
there's so many details that just bubble up.
There really are, and those aren't things that I noticed in the first watch through. Like, obviously, I noticed those things happening, but I didn't see the dominoes.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And like the set design is gorgeous. All the piping and tubes and stuff.
The piping is another thing. I'm like, why are we focusing so much on fucking piping and like the...
Well, because that means that he's got the no freedom then. Because then, like, he uses his thing about the paperwork to then scare these guys off. And because he lets Tuttle work on his pipes and stuff, then they acquisition it. So then he doesn't get the comfort there.
But there's so much focus on pipes throughout the entire movie. Like every single time we see a hole drilled into the floor of a building.
I think a lot of it just adds to the atmosphere. And one of the things is like everything's connected, but that doesn't mean they're good. You know? Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's really good, and I love how like there's not really any exposition because it's such a specific like it's not quite an everyman story. You know, because like he's an overly competent bureaucrat, like he's too good at his job, and like, story. But it's a guy who's just like happens to be a little bit better than most of the other people, but like he's fine in his place where he was, you know, he was that guy who was like doing the basic not entry level job, but like basic job. But
you know?
the thing is, like, there are these great injustices happening in the world, and the reason he wants to, like, change things isn't because of those injustices. It's because he's bored. You know? Like, it's so... And, oh my god, some of his lines are just, like, so cringe-inducing in the best way. Like, I love you. In my dreams, I love you.
His physical play too, like when he jumps over his desk, is so good.
Or when he has like the toast that's like soaking wet and he's trying to eat the toast.
That's really good, actually. Yeah.
I rewatched this movie. They played it. There was a special showing that was, I think it was like 35 millimeter that they played it in.
Ooh.
And it was like a sold out crowd. I invited you to it, if you remember.
You did.
You didn't show up, but it was a fantastic. Because I forgot how funny the film was. Like, watching it with a whole bunch of people were laughing all the time. And, like, there's so, like, little, tiny, subtle comedy, especially, like, slapstick stuff. That's so good.
On a scale of 1 to 10 hipsters, how hipster is this?
What do you mean?
The movie.
I don't know. Not that, because there's not, like...
Like, but it's like super art housey, right?
Yeah, it's art house, but he's not cool, you know. And there usually has to be a level of coolness to it, even if it's an ironic cool.
He's kind of cool. I think he's kind of cool.
Yeah, when he's got the long hair and the samurai fight.
Yeah, with the wings. Do you like? Okay, why do you like the dream sequences?
Because the way that they show, especially the dream sequences and how they seep into real life, they show that he's kind of gone insane, you know? And, like, that's how we get to the end of the movie. And it has a great payoff to that. So at first you see it as daydreaming and aloofness, but then towards the end you see it, oh, he's actually gone insane. And they both work very well together. So, like, the fact that he'll see, you know, like, in the mirror, he'll see all the victims, or, like, the wretched people that were in the dream that are like covered in the rays and stuff.
The fact that he sorry to interrupt, but don't you think that the fact that he sees like the people who have like been victim of the injustices is a fact that it's not just the girl? Like there's a little bit more than the girl, even though the main reasoning to start the entire thing was the girl.
Yes, but those are the things that drive him insane. The fact that he can't live with those, but the main thing that he is like the actions he's taking aren't to do with them. They're the things that really eat him alive in the end. Mm-hmm. But they don't guide his actions as much.
You know, it kills me because I was going to intro my main issue with this movie is the same issue I have with The Revenant, and that is the dream sequences. But I totally forgot until now.
Well, now do it.
No, I just did it.
No, I think they really work, especially on multiple like viewing. They're also they're gorgeous. You know, of like where you see the valley and then you see the skyscrapers emerge made out of dirt. Those are really gorgeous.
I love the shot that's top down when they're in bed through the sheets
as it like folds in.
Oh,
yeah. Just imagine Porky the Pig jumping out there and it's like that's all, folks. It's that frame.
Yes. No, it's super interesting, and I know I have to rewatch it.
Yeah, it's just the texture to everything is so it's so nice. Like, I'm so happy that it wasn't like that all the tricks in it are camera tricks, that there wasn't really a lot of like CGI stuff, because I feel like if it was CGI and like green screen stuff, it wouldn't have the effect. Yeah.
No, if this movie would have been made today,
it wouldn't.
It would have been.
Well, it was called the Zero Theorem.
You saw that, right?
I did, and it wasn't bad, but it was.
Oh, really?
Terry Gilliam. It was this whole thing of like, what if we made Brazil for like this audience right now? How would it be?
Really? Is that?
Yeah, that was his whole point in making that movie.
I never saw Zero Theorem. Interesting.
It's weird.
Is this the definitive Terry Gilliam film?
Yes. And that's like across the board, no matter who you ask. Almost all of them say it's Brazil.
Do you think that this is like the one that like shows his style and like his
because and in a lot of his styles they work exceedingly well in this, but they don't in other ones. So I talked about that when I gave my review of Man Who Killed Don Quixote. I talked about how some of those framing devices don't work as well in other movies as they do in Brazil. Whereas I think like all of his skills just work beautifully in this one. They all come together and everything works insanely well.
Yeah. It's I'm happy I watched it. This was going to be a movie that I was eventually going to watch on my backlog, so I'm happy to cross it off.
Mm-hmm.
Finally.
It's definitely really interesting, right?
It's something where it's just like I need to sit with it for a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's so much going on, like even like the talking telegram, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's like it's a fucking howler. It's a person howler.
Yeah.
From Harry Potter.
Well, and there's also my god, there's so many like tiny moments that I love. Like so you know that the kind of infamous shot of like there's chaos going on. This isn't in Brazil. I don't remember what movie this is, but it's the baby carriage going down the steps.
The Untouchables. Mm-hmm. De Palma. Yep.
Yes. They do a version of that, but it's that little like viewing machine, the one that has like the camera on it, and that's falling down the stairs. So it's like I like the little plays on that.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's the fact that I like it as much as I do is good, because this is definitely something that's outside of the realm of what I normally am interested in.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that like your favorite movie is like a character study that is completely like it's realism, and it's like everything about it feels. Not only feels but is real, from the sweat on the palms to the like the blood on the wrist from the like from the drumsticks, and like there's so much in it that is just like there's nothing fake, and mine is pure fantasy escapism, and it's like polar opposites.
How long has this been your definitive number one? Like a while?
Definitely a while. Definitely a while. I watched it when I was younger.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't remember when I first watched it, but like I've known it for years and years and years. And like I always find a time to go back to it, and I've liked it more every time I go back to it.
Yeah.
But it's one I usually like to leave some space in between my viewings, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, Whiplash is one that you can immediately restart it, but like...
Yeah.
There's so much in it that it needs to, for Brazil
digest.
Anyway, that it needs to seep in.
Yep. No, I totally see that. That makes sense. Should we... Final thoughts? Are there any? Were those them? Should we hop into
Should we quickly go into just like a quick dive into like the weakest and strongest points of both of our movies?
Oh yeah, I mean I think my weakest point is that car accident scene.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think it's fucking perfect.
And what do you
Flawless.
think is the strongest thing in yours?
Strongest thing from a scene, from just any aspect of the movie?
However
Because I mean,
you
if it's
wanna-
any aspect of the movie, the strongest point is I think J.K. Simmons. Like I think this is his best role ever. This is not going to be topped ever in his career. And J.K. Simmons is a very good actor.
Yeah.
But his performance here, his intensity, his command when he's conducting is just, it's so flawless. And like just that little, that final shot of him where you see just his eyes and you don't see his mouth, but you see the smile grow. Like he's so fucking good in this. If I had to pick a second thing, I would say that final scene, watching that entire thing play out, is so perfect. From Neiman or Andrew's excitement to get on stage and like start playing again, to him realizing like the fucking disaster of a situation that he's in, to Fletcher walking up and basically saying, "I just fucked you in the face." Like, how does it feel? Seeing him even try to play, like, why would you even try to fucking play without sheet music? That is so painful to watch. Like, as somebody who like seeing somebody like try to do something and just completely failing in front of people is so painful. And then like him coming back out and just like probably the greatest like concert like put to film when he starts playing what's it called? Fucking blanking. But it's just so good.
Yeah. For me, the strongest points I would say are the production design and like cinematography working together is fantastic, and then of course the intense satire that is, and then I would say some of the weaker things is it's really minor. There are certain things in the background, like I don't know how I feel about some of the plastic surgery stuff. I don't think it quite works. It's a nice extra thing in the environment. And there are certain parts that may have more symbolism, like the actress for like his dream girl is playing his mom when she's young, again at the funeral scene. Yeah, which is like crazy, like, and very uncomfortable. Like when she turns around and looks young, it's the other actress.
That's fucking weird.
And that's kind of strange. Otherwise, I think it's weakest part. I don't like the way they designed the screen, so it's just like a big magnifying glass. So then there's the one shot where you see like from the opposite, and his head just looks really big.
I like that though. I like that shot a lot. Actually.
I do. I'm nitpicking now.
It's really weird because before I saw the movie, like the one image I knew of the movie was the plastic surgery scene, where she has like her like skin stretched back.
Yeah.
And then it was weird to finally see that like played out, like what's actually going on there.
Yeah. I would say imagery is the strongest. Imagery and satire are the strongest.
It's super good.
We did it, David.
Already?
We talked about our favorite movies, and I don't feel like we were incompetent in it, like in the Star Wars episode.
Are you telling me you didn't love the Star Wars? Is it your least favorite episode we've ever done?
It's a funny one,
It's fucking
but
something.
it's a little kooky.
It's a disaster.
Yeah.
Do we want to dive in quick and do a very quick fix and pitch revisit?
Yeah. Well, I mean, how quick are you thinking quick?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
I made a full feature, David.
We're past 2 hours.
Uh-huh.
However long you want this episode to be, I'm cool with it. I can do a quick refix. Do you want me to lead this off?
Well, David, one second.
What are you doing here?
We gotta do the theme song. I don't know how to.
I actually didn't prep anything for the theme song, even though it was the 2-year anniversary.
Oh.
Hold on. Give me a second.
Flowers.
I want to see if I have any sort of instruments in the house. Because I don't have my guitar or the piano in here. I have a shaker.
That could be interesting.
It's a shaker. Thule, come out here and do a pitch and fix theme.
That sounded like a fucking taser.
It kind of does.
Thule, will you help improv a theme song for Pitch and Fix?
Oh, alright.
Do you want the shaker or do you want to do the lyrics? In the darkness of time, there was a pitch and fix and I felt all fine. I took a movie and I fixed all of its plot lines. I pitched a new movie and I tried to get it distributed by New Line Cinema. In the beginning of time, there was the sound of the shaker. And then the movers and the shakers. And then the filmmakers. And now we've reached a precipice of human enlightenment.
Hang on, did you say precipice?
I'll redo it. We've reached the Presbyterian age. This is Pitch and Fix.
Sounds fucking terrifying.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, I felt like I should do like bad colonialism expressions.
Yes.
The wonders of the Orient await you. Thank you, Thule. So I guess that was a theme. Hey guys, it's
something.
the ever-changing theme song to the ever-present segment, Pitch and Fix. The only segment we still have, other than First Impressions, that is from the original episode. And I think it's still in the form of the original episode.
Yeah. No, it is.
I don't remember if
the
we had a
only-
theme for the first one.
I don't either. I don't think we did. The only thing that's changed for this episode is we are refixing and repitching.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to be refixing a film that Ethan had fixed previously.
I'm going to repitch a David original.
Ooh, so exciting.
Yeah.
Do you want me to lead this off? Because mine is quick and yours is long.
Well, mine's not long, but it's complicated.
Oh. Who do you want to go first?
I think you should go first.
Okay, perfect. So, do you even know which one I'm refixing?
No, and I don't. You know which one I'm repitching, but
I do. So, I am going to be refixing Anna and the Apocalypse.
Great.
Yes. Because this is a film we were both super excited for.
That's
when
true.
The trailers
And-
were released,
and
and
we
we
watched
were both, pretty disappointed. You
We
much
both
more
watched
so
it
than
at
me.
the Alamo.
We did, because it was the only theater that got it.
We were both like the only people there each time we went to it.
Basically. And
There was one other person in my screening.
well, Marissa went with me, and then there were like 2 other people, and it was the worst experience I've had in Alamo because this guy literally was just on his phone talking the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
He was like a child.
He's like a man-child.
So
A mild.
Oh,
A chan.
what?
A chan?
Stop, please no.
Chin.
So-
A chin.
So I don't even know what you just. So I think my major change to the movie would be I would change the setting. I would take it from them being in like high school, and I would move it to them being in college. I think it makes the location horror a little bit tighter, so that way we know like where they are on like dealing with being on campus, right? Because campus has a lot of different buildings that you can play around with.
Yeah.
Instead of this kind of going like they're at school, the department,
then they're at the
store,
bowling alley.
Yeah, and it's just like they're all over town, and we don't need that. We can keep it tight and on campus, and then once they get off campus, that's the end of the movie, and that's happily ever after in Zombieland. Mm-hmm. It also gets rid of my biggest issue from the original movie, which is the fucking horrendous principal and like father like fucking issue. Like I hate everything with the parents in that movie. Mm-hmm. None of it works. That the principal is so like he's the worst part. Every time he's on screen, his song sucks. Him as a villain sucks. Mm-hmm. Him being like, "Oh, I killed the parents." Like he's a fucking like Disney villain. And not a good one.
Yeah.
And it just pulls me out, and like the kids in the movie are actually good. Like the main girl and the main guy, I really like them. I think they're gonna be fucking stars one day. Mm-hmm. I hope they will be. And I think I would make the story structured more around them getting back together, because they start the movie basically together. Like the zombie apocalypse starts and they're together, from the entire moment until he dies. So I think I would structure more around them trying to like find each other on campus and then get out of campus. Mm-hmm. And then I would also change the writer and director.
Okay, who are you picking?
I am picking Lord and Miller.
Fuck! Oh my god, it's gonna be such a good movie.
The reason being is
I'd love them to do a musical too.
They can write a script and songs that are fucking amazing. Like we've seen this with Lego Movie 1 and 2.
They're just gonna do the Spidey bells.
Well, that's obviously gonna be in
which
there.
Is fantastic.
But, like, we know that they can write songs that are like really good for a musical, and also they can shoot action pretty fucking amazing.
Oh yeah.
So I think they would just work so much better with this film. And obviously, like the easy choice would be Edgar Wright. But I don't think he would be right for the musical.
Yeah, I think I prefer Lord and
Lord
Miller
Miller
for this
would
one.
take it better with the musical aspect.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really good choice.
You like it?
Fuck, I like that a lot.
I'm pretty happy with it.
Can we still keep my songs in it that I made?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we would also keep the poster, because I love the poster for this.
Poster's good, yeah.
Well, the tree one. Mm-hmm. I really like that one. Yeah, and that's basically it.
Sweet. So, David, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Ooh. I can't wait.
Now,
did you make it?
You had originally made a gritty Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right?
Yeah, the way it's supposed to be.
And you said that I asked you if I could just pitch any sort of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Toodles? Any sort of
Toodles.
Any sort of Ninja Turtle reboot, and you said no, it has to be gritty.
Yes.
So what I did was I thought, what would be the most enjoyable approach for that? So I thought, what if we made it a really schlocky 80s gore fest B-movie horror title.
Whoa. Interesting.
And I made it.
Oh, no. And it's hitting theaters near you.
Yeah. Do you want to hear the trailer?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you mean for the actual trailer?
David, I made a trailer.
You made a trailer?
Uh-huh.
Are you serious?
Here's the trailer. For our very special 2-year anniversary, I made a movie trailer for the Gorefest 80s version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Holy shit.
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
In the city of New York, a brand new terror lies beneath the streets. A determined reporter seeking the truth.
That's a hockey.
Listen, what you're saying sounds like a load of bologna on rye from Pizzizzos. And trust me, I know a thing or two about bologna on rye. Rye's a good sandwich, all right.
A dangerous secret being kept in the sewers.
I need to get out of this stinking sewer. Oh my god.
Listen, April, no one's gonna believe that there's, what did you say, massive gators underground?
An ancient order, an experiment gone wrong, and more cover-ups than she can shake a stick at. Maybe some things are better left under the surface.
Oh jeez, there's some big turtle-looking things attacking this here hockey game. Get back, you green demon!
Hey, that's my pizza, you big ugly piece of garbage.
Maybe it wasn't bologna on rye after all.
You can call me the Pulverizer. Destroyed by mutations, enraged by man, these amphibious abominations will stop at nothing to destroy the city. Hey, big shits, let's do this one. Ninja style, cowabunga, baby. You know, this is why I hate the Big Apple. Turtles love eating apples. No time to explain, let's kick some shell. Come on.
Are those katanas? And what is that big ugly rat thing? Some sort of giant rat? I mean, yeah, I guess it's a giant rat.
Brace yourself for horror in a half shell. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Coming soon to a sewer near you. Look around. Pizza boxes, skateboards, bunch of pogs, Tamagotchis, and an open box of cereal with the character Alf from the hit series Alf on it. These green bastards are teenagers, alright. Or just really sad old dudes.
Man, this is one stiff tube sock.
Yep, that's teenagers, alright.
That's pretty great.
How do you feel?
God. How long did that take you?
A while.
Holy shit.
So that's the most effort I've ever put into anything for this show.
Really? More than Invisible Zombie Sidekick?
Fun fact about that same song. The instrumental from Invisible Zombie Sidekick.
Is it really?
Yeah, for that last little bit.
Holy shit.
What do you think?
I liked it. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like horror in a half shell?
That's actually my favorite part, I think, about the entire thing. That's fucking great.
Did you catch my Lost Boy reference?
I did. I've never seen Lost Boys.
Oh, there's a line in it where he's like, "That's where I hate Los Angeles. Too many fucking vampires."
Oh. I love the turtles or tortoise line.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's really fucking good.
I used a lot of sound effects from Doom 2.
I was gonna say, what's the
tortoises.
what's like the scream noise, or like the growl?
Yeah, that's monsters from Doom, the original. So that's good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
It sounds like a bologna on rye from Pizzizzos.
God.
Oh, it's a good sandwich. How did you like my interpretation of April O'Neil, Casey, and the Pulverizer?
Who is the Pulverizer?
Well, so he's a B character, and I just took his name, and I just completely reworked the character because that's what they did in the days.
Okay, because I don't know who I didn't know who that was.
His name is Seymour Guts. He's a original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle lore.
I think the best. Okay, besides Horror in a Half Shell, the final part. How do we know they're teenagers?
Termagurchis.
Pizza boxes, books, skateboards,
Bunch of pogs. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, so that was 2 years, David.
That
How
was
do you
2
feel?
years.
We started off recording in my dad's dining room
We
with
did.
one microphone.
And then we moved downstairs, and then we moved into the living room, and then we moved to separate locations with 2 microphones.
Yep.
I feel good.
We've both moved twice since then.
Yeah.
Or, I know I've moved twice. Have you also moved twice?
I have. I moved to St. Louis Park, and then I moved here.
Wow. That's wild.
I've gotten 2 new jobs.
Wild. I've gotten promoted twice.
You have? Holy shit, that's right, because you started crew, right?
Yeah.
That's wild.
I think I was supervisor when we started, though.
Oh. So you're fucked.
Right? Yeah.
We almost recorded an episode at work. That would have been fun.
That would have been bad.
No, that would have been great.
Man. There was those times that you would do actual work and then I would just edit, but I'd still be on the clock.
Yeah. No, that was
good.
really good. Oh, time clock fried.
It's been a journey,
really has.
David.
You know-
Thank you for you came up with the idea. You picked the name that has terrible SEO, so we'll never actually branch out and succeed.
SEO.
I just want to succeed as a podcast, David.
We will. Nobody is gonna search for a podcast.
We're gonna be the movie boys. No one's gonna search for our podcast.
Not on Google. No. It's okay. I'll take care of it. I think one of my favorite parts of the podcast that was not mentioned earlier is Firehouse Dog.
Oh, it's a classic.
It's a classic.
It's a classic.
Mainly because it ruined a review of one movie that I don't remember.
No, I appreciate that you let bits happen. You come up with your own bits as well. Yeah. But then we'll talk about serious movies as well. This has been a lot of fun.
It really has been.
And I'm sad it's the end.
Wait a second.
Now that I'm at the end of my life,
I look back on 2 years as an old man, remembering the good times.
Fucking what's his name comes up, Falcon comes up and he was like, do you think you guys are gonna do more episodes? And I'm like, no, I don't think I will.
I'll keep that one a secret. Yeah. You know what? I think we're kicking butt in 2019. This is our year 2 is going to be our best year ever. Wait a second, no, we just finished year 2. Year 3 is going to be our best year ever. And it's all downhill from here.
Oh, shit,
unsubscribe.
You can't unsubscribe if you never subscribed.
Do we have plans
in
for the
first
future
place.
of the cast?
For the future?
To the future of feature.
Well, we're planning a live show tour at the in fall. We got a book deal coming out.
Oh, live show would be such a fucking disaster.
It'd be fun. I'd love it.
It would.
But we're a long ways from that, David.
Oh yeah, we have to get good at
Hey
this.
guys, it's been 2 years and look how much effort I put into that Ninja Turtle trailer.
That's amazing.
Y'all should tell your friends about this fucking podcast.
Do it.
We're thinking about maybe doing a Patreon, but I don't know.
Well, here's the thing: we can set one up and it'll just be there, right?
Won't make any money.
No.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on this journey,
thank you,
y'all.
Happy 2-year
Share it.
anniversary. This is
Oh, thank you.
almost as long as my Jesus.
That's 2
God,
kisses.
that wasn't even on
One
my
kiss
face.
for each year. Wait, David, what do you do for 2 years? Is that wood? Is that silver? What is the...
What the fuck are you talking about?
You know how different anniversaries are different things?
It's I don't know. I don't know. You're asking the wrong person.
Cotton.
Jesus. Here's a T-shirt.
So number 1 is paper. Year 2 is cotton. Number 3 is leather.
What the fuck you?
And then number 4. So anniversary gifts by year for traditional celebrations.
Sure.
You remember Gone Girl?
I do.
Yeah, they talked about it in Gone Girl.
Do they?
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
So what can we do this one about cotton? Should we talk about vape tricks?
No. What? How's what?
What's your favorite movie where they do a vape?
I don't even know. Oh my god, I don't. Ooh.
Okay. Cotton. Let's do like a stuffed animal. What movie character would you love a stuffed animal of?
Ooh.
I'm going life-size Totoro.
Ooh, giant stuffy. Ooh, a giant Big Hero 6.
Fuck, that's very good. Oh, you also got Stay Puffed, Marshmallow Man, the Luck Dragon from Neverending Story.
The sea monster that Anakin milks, or that Luke milks.
A lot of porgs. Firehouse Dog.
Ooh.
The Fraggles.
A giant Ryan Reynolds size Pikachu.
That's very good.
Or the Psyduck. Any size. The Psyduck is my favorite. Oh, I love that Psyduck.
The Snorlax.
Fuck Snorlax. Psyduck for life.
The fuck did you just say to me, David?
Fuck you, little Snorlax, and you little...
You motherfucker, I'll tell you what.
All right, well...
We both just get really close and intimate about Snorlax.
Make sure to check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. All of it at FutureCast.
Follow us on Letterboxd.
Yeah. Follow us on Letterboxd, dude. We're both cranking shit out on Letterboxd, especially me. Ethan, he's been like taking a break on movies.
I haven't done a lot of reviews lately. Written ones.
I know. You gotta lower your expectations, and you gotta do shorter ones.
Yeah, but I don't want to, David.
Hey.
I gotta go all in.
Go all in.
Hey, give us reviews on iTunes if you got an iTunes. What else should they do?
You should send us emails.
You can send us an email. Yeah,
we got some emails. You want to talk about on the show? That'd be really cool. Eventually,
we actually just in our email.
The first time we get 3 emails, we'll start a giveaway for some Blu-rays.
Different people.
Yes, not just the same person, Steve. Mm-hmm. Different people. I got a whole stack of Blu-rays right over there. I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah,
some really good ones.
Do a little bit of Foley work.
Blade Runners in there.
Do like a. Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be fun.
Alrighty.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know what some of your favorite feature cast moments were.
And the next time we talk, you will be coming back from Japan?
Yes, I'll have been to another country. We can do a whole thing about movies not to watch on airplanes.
Oh, snakes. Sully.
Snakes. Snakes.
You ever see that
Just
Anaconda?
snakes.
It's really fucking bad. Don't watch that one.
Oh, sorry. Just snakes. Snakes.
God, I hate you.
Well,
right.
Snakes for listening.
Bye.
Like a snake does.
Oh, Jesus.